push them here. So it's just these angles of here's the optimal. They usually won't let you have that, but they end up giving you this. So then they end up like this, so then they do this, which is the defense. But the challenge then starts to become, you've still got them even on the strong side in a shoulder roll, and you're usually under their leg. So just that elevation of making them do this, even if the foot's up, the leg, all the weight's down here now. You've got this big leg, which should be able to generate a lot of force. It's barely touching the ground. So as long as you're one step ahead, and they're having to step their foot, and you're expecting them to step their foot, they don't step their foot, they get swept or they get their back taken. Yeah, so either they end up flat on their back, or you end up with your chest on their back.
When you were saying to me you got 2-on-1 from the get-go,
yeah.
How do you then secure that arm? Or would you just keep the 2-on-1 and try
I just keep stuffing it under.
And just try and sweep straight from there?
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to make them foot. I don't like the idea of saying sweep.
But try and get them to shoulder roll.
Just to get them to shoulder roll. See, you can't necessarily guarantee they're not going to just put everything on not being swept. Right? So but usually when they put everything on not being swept, they give you the world in order not to do it. It's difficult to just optimally, you're getting shoulder rolled, only put 50% in. That's not how we work. We overshoot. We go for insurance, and that additional insurance leaves us open at the back, or open to leg attacks. You end up with an isolated limb.
This is probably a really obvious thing to ask, but it seems to me like if you're teaching someone to forward roll, you mentioned this with the kids, and you get them in this position, you've got to have the arm out of the way, otherwise there's no shoulder roll. If you're not controlling the arm.
Well, the alternative is they put the arm on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, you've got that or that. But
none of those are ideal.
Yeah.
I never want to put my hand on the ground. You know, it's like putting a T-Rex trying to break its fall. Or putting its hand on the ground. It's not a good option. You always want the big legs at the back doing the work, just like guard.
Yeah.
But it's more about that so one thing you actually said was how do you sort of secure it? One of the things I do when I'm doing this is if I feel he tries to rip his arm backwards, now he gives me this reverse Kimura grip. Yeah, and so I can start pushing this through. I'm not going to try and submit the guy with this. That's for a YouTube show reel. It's not. But as a consequence, if he doesn't respect it, I'll keep bending it. But he'll try and fight it back in. When he fights it back in, now it goes. I use his pressure on there. You know, and from here I can start pushing his knee out, collapsing him down, taking his back. So you can climb up. You can climb up the arm. You can start using it to climb. So you just get this whizzer, and you've now got 2-on-1. You've got 2-on-1. And so now usually he'll step this foot up to try to keep that. Yeah. So now I'm going to start making him shoulder roll again. And look at where he is. So I don't necessarily he could kill the sweep there on that. He kills the sweep, but he gives me his back. There's no sweep.
He's still shoulder rolling.
Yeah, he's still shoulder rolling. And this is why the shoulder roll is so important. Is that even a lot of the time you don't even see the shoulder roll. Well, because the guy's desperately trying to keep his posture back. He doesn't even consider it a shoulder roll. He just knows something bad's happening. So he pulls back. And that's what you're kind of using. You're just kind of like feeling, sometimes he goes so far back, you just got to drive like Gordon did with Galvao. He doesn't want to play a leg lock game, well, no problem. I'm going to start attacking his leg to take him down. So every time he defends the pull forward where I want to attack his leg for a submission, he then backs away. Now I'm going to start grabbing his leg in single and driving through him. Because there's still no weight in it, he's just backing out all the time. Anything else on that? So let's just work on, we'll just play that game again. What time are we on?
It's about 9:10.
9:10. Who's staying? It's 9:10. Hands up, who's staying? Just so I've got. So there's 5 of us, yeah? So we'll grab a ball if it's going to be odd numbers. We'll grab a ball and we'll have one out on the ball. And we'll just do 5-minute rounds of just basically starting in that position and just playing with it. because the more you can get this idea of just, and I said one other thing with this as well, like sometimes people will say, oh, we're doing too much of whatever. I get people like, oh, I've just joined the gym and we only seem to be doing groundwork. I thought we were going to do a lot of stand-up. And it's like, look, we coach principles here. So if you internalise and just 100% focus on this, it's like your stand-up's going to improve even without doing stand-up. Because you actually understand that, you know, judo, what's judo about? At the Olympics, it's about 80% shoulder roll. That's all these guys, they grip fight. There's 80% is grip fight, never even gets to a throw because they're so concerned about being shoulder roll. They both try and basically, you know, if the rules don't stop them, if I know he's right-handed, they will literally play like that for the entire Olympic final and try and score advantages. It won't even come to a throw. But then they have to stop this shit because it's like no one wants to watch that. That's what's going to happen. So they then ban that, and all the judo bodies are wanting to try and encourage is basically me putting myself into a shoulder roll to put him in a shoulder roll, because that's what sells it for the IOC. They banned all the Russian-style takedowns, which are when the guy then starts, I'm never going to be shoulder rolled. That's when the Lissel opens up, which has made mockery of it a bit. But that's all that goes on. Almost all of it is shoulder rolls. And then what's wrestling? Don't get shoulder rolled. Either back or forwards. Don't get shoulder. You hit that's all you're basically doing at the elite level. Just practicing, just switching all the time and then circling to the back. If you keep it simple, it is what it is. So I'll jump on the ball. Can you do 5 shots on the ground?